Hello there everybody, Sam Strange here, welcome back to the Railway and welcome back to another exciting O-Gauge review. Today's model is both my first ever O-Gauge coach and also the largest model I've ever reviewed, so you know it's going to be good. So the last O-Gauge loco I looked at was the fantastic Dapol 14XX. If you want to check it out, there's a link up there for you. In the comments of that video, loads of people suggested that I try one of Dapol's O-Gauge Autocoaches because it goes very nicely with the 14XX, of course. Now, of course, I listen to you guys, so I have amazingly and excitingly picked one up. Here it is, and look at the size of this. I am not kidding when I say this is the largest model I've ever owned. It is absolutely ginormous. Of course, I expected it to be, but still, when it came, the size of this box was just quite shocking. Now, the price of this is £200, that's the RRP, but Hatton's actually have these in stock for £170. So if you want to see the range, there are quite a few different versions. Do check out the link in the description. Now, obviously, clearly, that is a lot of money, £170, particularly if you have a background in 00 like I do. Sounds like an awful lot for a coach. But comparatively speaking, with other O-Gauge coaches, the price is actually pretty reasonable, particularly if you compare it with the likes of these Helgen coaches, let's say, and bear in mind the auto coaches are probably quite a bit more complex than those. So price-wise, they actually sound quite reasonable. The version I have here is 170, as I say, but it doesn't have any lights. Dapol do offer versions with light bars fitted for, I think, about £30 more. So again, those are all in the link in the description if you want to check it out. For now, though, my first ever O-Gauge coach, let's get it out if I can. Hopefully I won't have to do anything crazy to get this out like I did with the 14XX. But let's see, shall we? Let's find out. So there we go. Now, I've actually not had this out of the box yet. I've had it for a little while, but not opened it. Even just looking through the front, though, even though you can't see the thing properly, you get a sense that this is going to be an impressive model. I really hope so. And of course, the auto coaches are absolutely fascinating. If you're not familiar with auto coaches, stay tuned because they are really quite unique. Either way, let me show you the end of the box then. This is the version I went for. I think this was the nicest one, in my opinion. It is 7P-004-006 Auto Coach. It is in the Great Western lined chocolate and cream, and I think that might be the running number, is it? Number 40? Yeah, probably. We'll see, I suppose. Yeah, the chocolate and cream, it's just a really, really intricate livery, I suppose, which is what drew me to it. So hopefully I won't regret that decision to buy this version. So, shall I get the back of the box open? Let's just see. Yeah, there's nothing really else written on the pack. So I think this is the big moment. I'm actually quite nervous about this. How do you handle an O-Gauge coach? These are things that I'm going to have to learn pretty quickly today. Okay, let's find out. Ah, so it's in like a polystyrene tray. Okay, fair enough. All right, well, like I say, I am a little bit nervous, so let's start off with the owner's guide, shall we? Which looks quite large. Here we go. So it is the Dapol O-Gauge Great Western Auto Coach. So there we go, an introduction, removing the roof. Okay, that's interesting. That might be good, actually. I'll read that later on when it's not upside down to me, because it might be nice to be able to look at the inside. DCC sound, really? I didn't know there was a sound version. That's pretty cool. I wonder what sounds it would play. That's very interesting. I'll have to learn more about that. Oh, and this is just the 24-month repair warranty. Okay, fair enough. All right, shall we take a look at getting this out then? I think I might need to bring out... Oh, no, I won't need rusty. No, it seems to be open already. No, it's just not taken down. Okay, fair enough. All right, shall I start? I'm going to have to do this in baby steps because, as I say, it's ridiculous, but I do feel a bit nervous about this. Look at that. Wow. The finish on that is wonderful. Now this, I just can't wait to get this hooked up to my 14XX. That is going to be amazing. Anyway, I can see there's a little bag of some description in here, which must have some little detail bits. So let me show you that. All right, well, I recognise at least one of the bits there. That looks like the bell for the front of the coach. Maybe that's a spare, maybe it isn't fitted in case it breaks off or something. Besides that, I'm not too sure what the other bits in there are. Maybe the instructions covered it. I will have to double check and see, but I think for now I will just pop them back in the sleeve there just to keep them safe. And there is nothing on the back except some holes which might help push the model out. I'm going to have to be really careful because I don't know how fragile this thing is, but obviously you've just got to take it easy, haven't you? So I apologise if you can't see this particularly easily. Oh, the good news is it's not a snug fit. or not too snug a fit in this pack, so I'm able to push it out reasonably easily. Well, that wasn't too bad. I can see there is something loose in the pack here. Let me show you that. Wonder what that is. Looks like it could be something from a coupling, perhaps. It's bent. If it's supposed to be bent, we'll have a look, see if I can figure that out. Let's put it back in the pack for now. But for now, here is, oh, there's something else lying in the plastic as well. Yeah, that is definitely a coupling, and yeah, it looks like that's where that piece came from. Oh dear. So perhaps the big block of styrofoam wasn't quite sufficient to protect the model. We've seen that before with Dapol's O-gauge, which is a shame, but if just one of the screw-link couplings is the only damage, I think we're doing okay, aren't we, really? So, look at that, would you? Wow. That is incredible, isn't it? Really incredible. I just love the size of this. The double O-gauge auto coaches I've seen are great, but you just want them bigger so you can look properly. Well, I think this is it. This is exactly that. So, wonderful, really wonderful. Wow, so I don't know how I'm going to offer you a close look at this, but I will do in just a second. First of all, though, here's a little bit of information on those auto coaches if you're interested. So the Great Western auto coaches were constructed over many years from 1904 right the way up to 1954. In that time, a hefty 256 were produced. The coaches were intended for use on push-pull trains hauled by steam locomotives, and fascinatingly, and this really is the fascinating part, the auto coaches were fitted with driving cabs in order to allow a driver to control the locomotive remotely. To do this, obviously, the fireman would have to remain on board the locomotive, of course, in order to maintain the coal and water supply. Auto trains were often seen with just one locomotive and one coach, but sometimes, where more than one coach would be used, the loco would actually be sandwiched in between the two coaches, producing quite a unique looking train in my opinion. 15 auto coaches remain in preservation today, which is quite an impressive figure really, isn't it? It's not too bad to say how unusual they are, with some still operating on selected services on preserved railways, which is pretty cool. So you can still ride on auto coaches today, which is awesome. So, I've only just managed to get it in shot, but it is just about there. There it is, up close and personal, the Dapol O-gauge Great Western Auto Car. And, well, from the outside at least, this is phenomenal. Just look at that. The size, as I've already said, is amazing. The decoration, as you'll see later on, is phenomenal as well. Yeah, overall, I love this. I think it looks fantastic. Now, in the previous Dapol videos I've done, some commenters have quite amusingly pointed out that while most of their models are excellent, many of them suffer from one major design flaw. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not I agree with that statement or not, but if there is one major design flaw with this model, it is unfortunately the couplings. They are rubbish. Now, maybe we've just been spoilt by the sheer quality of the couplings on the Hatton's Warwell wagons. If you remember, those were really good quality. They even screwed in and out. These ones don't hold themselves together, let alone screw in and out. They have to be bent in order to be assembled, or indeed reassembled, as I've had to do that. The different parts have to be bent outwards to fit over the sort of hinges, if you want to call them that. And there's nothing to hold them in place. Unfortunately, that sucks. The couplings are the sole means by which the coach is propelled along, and they're not right. That is a bit of a shame, but generally speaking, the quality elsewhere of the model is fantastic. So let's take a look at the decoration, which I think is really good actually. I think the choice of colour on this seems really competent. So as you can see, we've got all this lovely sort of golden lining on the lower portion, which I think looks beautiful. Not all versions have that, and I think that just looks fantastic. I love the yellow on the upper portion and the way you've got the sort of black outline around the different sections, and it's actually been done really, really well. The standard is excellent. Look at the print work. We've got the Great Western print on there. The rest of the printing, though, isn't very good. It's quite low res, quite grainy looking, as you can see. Would have been fine in double O, I would have said, but in O-gauge, you can tell with the naked eye, or at least I can, that those don't look the best. For some reason, there's quite a bit of mess on the bodywork there, which is a shame, and that's not coming off. Look, give it a little rub. Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. That's not just dust or something. The roof is amazing as well, as you can see, lots of detail up on the roof there. You've got all those air intakes. It must be a very well ventilated coach, it must be said. Look at all those. Yeah, it's very, very well detailed. If anything, the amount of metalwork leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, the coach is relatively heavy. It weighs in at 627 grams, but that's only 4 to 5 times the weight of the double O-gauge auto coaches that I have. And these O-gauge ones are 8 times the size. and only 5 times the weight. The bogies are die-cast though, it seems. They're nice and cold to the touch, and as you can see, they're also very, very well detailed. They look great. Even though this coach hasn't been fitted with lights or anything like that, the bogies do come complete with pickups installed, which is good in one way. It makes it cheaper to install your own lights. The downside is they've decided to have the wires from the bogies pop out the bottom of the bogie where they're actually visible. I'm not sure why that was necessary. It's a bit of a bodge, isn't it, that? But it is nice that you've got pickups from the wheels coming through. It does call into question, I guess, the extra £30 just for the LEDs. I'm pretty sure you could do it yourself cheaper than that, given the fact that the pickups and wires are already installed, but that's not too bad. So there isn't a lot of metal elsewhere on the model. The frames, for instance, are just made of plastic. Maybe for the price it would have been really cool to have seen a bit more die cast, again, as we did with those Warwells. However, many of the separately fitted parts are made of metal. So you've got the underframe here. All of these sort of supports are made of metal and they look fantastic. In fact, the whole underframe is amazing. As you can see, an awful lot of detail has gone into that. A lot of the handrails are separately fitted and made of metal wire as well, which look wonderful. I really think those do. And there are lots of them too, besides the doors and around the front as well, although some of them haven't been painted quite right. As you can see, the paint's coming off a little bit on some of those. But besides that, the quality is actually pretty decent. The glazing is done nicely, as you can see. That all looks pretty good, doesn't it? The doorways are relatively well detailed, but the door handles and such are just a part of the moulding. They're not separately fitted or anything like that. The ends are just phenomenally well detailed. I think these are the most impressive areas on the model. As you can see, we have these separately fitted vacuum pipes, and the one on the back, I believe, is actually made of rubber, which means you can sort of pose it around, I suppose, and use it realistically, which is cool. You've got the metal buffers, which are indeed sprung. Let me show you that, and they're nice as well. They're really smooth. They have a smooth sort of action to them. They don't get jammed or anything, which is really good. You've got those metal lamp irons, which look fantastic. Those are really good quality, actually. You've got separately fitted wipers on the front of the cab end there, which looks great. And of course, you could put the bell on as well. That came in the detail pack. That would finish off the look, really, wouldn't it? That would be nice. The reason I keep saying the outside is nice is because the interior sucks very slightly. I'm sorry to say that. Maybe I was just expecting the level of detail on the interior to match the 14XX, which I don't think is unreasonable. I mean, they come from the same company and the two models are supposed to complement each other. So for reference, here's what the cab of a real Autocoach looks like. Okay, have you got that? And then here is what the model's cab looks like. Yeah, I couldn't help feeling a little bit underwhelmed at that, to be honest. There's very little painted detail inside there. Quite clearly, some of the components are missing. And we're also missing that beautiful wood-panelled interior effect that you get on the real thing. Instead, we've got what you'd expect on a 00 model, really. I would have said the extra size and the £200 price tag of the O-gauge model means that I was expecting perhaps a little bit more in the cab. A bit of extra detail there would have been very impressive. It's actually just quite a gluey mess, as you can see. Very messy. Yeah, not a very good cab, unfortunately. The same thing goes with the passenger compartment as well. Here's what the real thing looks like. Look at how ornate it looks. Look at the lamps, look at the patterns on the seats. Some of that stuff would have been very difficult to replicate in model form, but looking at the model, it comes across a bit lackluster, doesn't it? Now, obviously all models are a compromise. The price tag is reasonable for this, but I think, you know, the 14XX blew me away with the level of detail. This one isn't quite that good, is it? The interior does leave a lot to be desired. And this monstrosity in the other end just looks awful, doesn't it? I think that's the housing for the speaker and possibly circuitry if you were going to have lights and other functions installed. Why that had to be in such a noticeable spot, I have no idea. Couldn't that have maybe been put behind the door where it's not so noticeable? I mean, where it is, there are windows on 3 sides so that it's very, very noticeable. It's like it's been designed to be noticeable. Don't like that, really. It's not very realistic and, like I say, incredibly, incredibly conspicuous. Overall though, as you can see, it's a beautiful model. It looks fantastic. It does the job, I'm sure. Let's get it onto the O-gauge track and give it a little bit of test. Let's unite it with the 14XX. That is going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see how it looks with that. Let's do it. All right then, let's have a go at putting this coach onto the track for the very first time then. So I'm going to have the cab facing backwards if the 14XX is facing forwards, and we'll see how that goes. One thing I have been sort of made aware of today is just how bad the couplings on these are. I wasn't really aware of it before, but it's really manifesting today. I've just got the 14XX down and sort of unravelled the coupling from the hook. And that one fell apart in my hands as well, so now that one's not properly attached. It's sort of just over the hook because I could not get it back on. Anyway, I'm going to use one of my other coupling tools today, see if we can get it coupled up, see how it looks. I'm also having to shove the two together so that the coupling will reach. Of course, if it had the proper screw, like the Hatton's ones do, it would work. Just can't do it. Look, it doesn't reach. That's as far as they go. There we go, there we go. All right. And now that it's over the hook, it is a bit slacker, so the buffers aren't permanently sprung, which is good. Okay, let's give it a run then. Let's see if it works. All right then, here we go. A veritable O-gauge auto train. I mean, this could be considered a complete train, couldn't it? Wow. Okay, here we go. Take it quite slow to start with, not too slow. And there it goes. That does look awesome, I have to say. Wow. And it's nice and freewheeling as well, I didn't say that, but it certainly does run free. The pickups are not on the wheels themselves, they're done through the ends of the axles, through the bearings, which does make it nice and free, definitely, very good. Well, that is just great. I feel like a proper modeler now, which is ridiculous because, yes, I'm on a shelf layout. Right, shall we go backwards then? Let's back it up, see how it backs, and then we will try it on the second radius points. Hopefully it won't derail on those, fingers crossed. Okay, so just got to clear them. I should say, when I built this layout, I envisioned myself doing shunting with wagons and that sort of thing. I hadn't really intended on getting any big coaches or anything like that, so I don't know how it's going to handle these. Let's open the points though and see. Okay, right, let's do this steadily then. Nice and easy. Just swap controller now. There we go. Whoa. Oh, that was fine. That was absolutely fine. Let's try it in the other direction. That should be interesting, shouldn't it? Hopefully we won't get too much buffer lock, or any buffer lock. A bit further. There we are. Yeah, that was absolutely fine. No problem at all. Let's go a little bit faster this time then. Oh. Okay, so I think gently does it has to be the motto. I wonder what happened there. But it's those rubbish couplings again. Oh, couplings are intact, I think. Oh, great. I've got to go through the hell of getting them coupled again. Anyway, well, it's not a huge deal. Let's have some ratings then while I do that. So here we go, here's what I thought. I've tried not to be too harsh, but I've also tried to be perfectly honest as well. The level of detail I've given 3-star now. In some areas, the level of detail was easily deserving of a 5-star. I mean, each end, for example, externally, really, they're really quite good for the most part. The two major things that let it down for me were, of course, the interior. The interior was very underwhelming in my opinion, and also some of the printed details were quite low resolution and noticeably so. I think if those were improved upon, particularly the interior of course, the level of detail rating would be a bit higher. Performance though, I can't really fault it, besides the couplings which I will penalise later on as you'll hear. The performance is absolutely fine, it's very free rolling even though it has electrical pickups on each wheel. They don't seem to cause any noticeable friction and the thing runs nice and freely as a result, which is great. The quality I've given just 3-star. Yes, the couplings let it down. They fall to pieces. One had fell to pieces in the box in transit. The other one fell to pieces shortly after I got the thing out and just unravelled it. Same with the 14XX actually. We have seen better couplings on other manufacturers' models and I haven't really looked at that many. Also, as I've said, the paintwork affects the quality slightly, and also the amount of plastic. It is really only the bogies that are die cast. Maybe a bit more weight would have made the quality feel a bit better as well, but generally speaking, the build quality is fairly good. Value for money then, I've given this 4-star. Generally speaking, I think for what you get, it's a decent price. I mean, this is the same price as a large Hornby 00 gauge locomotive. It's a very sizable model for the price. To get 5-star, I think it needed the slightly better interior, maybe even some lights would have been good for the price. The extra £30 does seem a little bit steep just for some LEDs being fitted. yeah, bit better quality, bit better detail. I would have given this 5-star easily because, as I say, it's a huge model for the price. Overall then, that is a fair score of 7.01 out of 10. Let's put it into the rolling stock logbook. There we go, it is 10th place, just below the Hornby TTS vent van. Definitely the best O-Gauge coach I've ever looked at, and that I can honestly say. Right, come on then, I've managed to get it recoupled, so I'm going to take it right to the end, I'm going to get it going, and then I'm going to run to the camera so I can do a bit of a pan with it. So here we go. Run, Sam, run. That's alright, I made it in plenty of time. There we go. It looks a picture, doesn't it? Say what you like about the detail, and indeed I have, but you can't deny that it looks superb when being pulled or pushed by a 14XX. Absolutely wonderful. So there you have it, folks. I really am happy with that. That looks fantastic. I think overall it's not a perfect model, quite clearly, but I think I would recommend it, provided you obviously know the ups and downsides. Provided you do, it's a great purchase, and the value for money, as I say, is at the very least reasonable, isn't it? And it completes the 14XX as a loco, of course, too. Yeah, I really did like that. So let me know down in the comments. I mean, are the downfalls enough to ruin the model for you? Would you only pay £170 to £200 if the interior detail was there, or do you think it's all right for the price? I'm still quite new to O-Gauge, so maybe the opinions of more seasoned O-Gauge modelers will be different to mine. I'm not too sure, but do be sure to let me know. For now though, thank you very much for your company. I hope you enjoyed that, my first ever O-Gauge coach. I certainly did. For now though, thanks for watching, thank you for your company, and I will see you with some more O-Gauge very, very soon. Alright, cheers everybody.